Oh my goodness. Fairy Tale, chapter 412. What a fantastic chapter. We open up with Natsu and Gray arguing over the Book of E.N.D. So Natsu promised E.N.D that he would steal the book and return it to E.N.D, whereas Gray is deciding that he wants to destroy the Book of E.N.D. I know you might be thinking, yeah, a Natsu and Gray argument, it's nothing new, but I think there's something deeper to this one than just the comedy that we're used to seeing with the two. They're butting heads over a very significant decision. What they, I guess, choose to do ultimately could have very large consequences. Speaking of consequences, it's finally happened. Face has been activated, which means that magic will disappear from the continent. It's been described as the end of the world of magic. Now, remember, in the world of fairy tale and Fior, magic is kind of their primary resource, it's heavily utilized. An equivalent for us might be if we were suddenly to wake up in a world without electricity. That kind of thing. It's our major energy source. So in this chapter, trains stop working, lights turn out, the lacrima stop working, and just this panic ensues. Margir has been defeated, but he still manages to conceitedly state that the disappearance of magic will eventually become emptiness, and E.N.D shall resurrect, feeding off of that energy. It's kind of like the world will fade to black and emptiness and formlessness, and out of that, E.N.D will rise. This is a very apocalyptic turn of events for fairy tale. It's a very severe situation, where without that magic, how are they going to stand a chance against E.N.D, the most powerful Etherios? I mean, I guess since magic is gone, they won't even be able to use Lumen Histoire to combat Face or E.N.D, so very dangerous stuff going on here. So you can rule magic out of the picture, but just like it seems when everything is in despair, and this is a hopeless case, Igneel slams Acnologia to the ground and exclaims, "Do not give up, humans!" And from there, oh man, the epicness begins. Grandini and Metallicana are sensed by Wendy and Gajil. Oh man, Metallicana looks so awesome. He had this sleek armored dragon kind of design, like something out of a kaiju film. It's kind of like Mecha Gamera, or I guess some kind of mechanical version of Gamera. He looked really cool. Furthermore, Sting and Rogue sends Weislogia and Skydrum, which is a little bit interesting, seeming as they've claimed to, allegedly killed those dragons in the past. It looks like the Dragon Force is assembling, and for long-time fans of fairy tale, this is a very exciting thing. One could argue that the whole stuff with the dragons is actually the most significant plot point that has been building throughout this entire manga. I did notice a panel with Igneel that is kind of easy to rush through, I guess, with all the influx of epicness going on. But at one point in this panel he says, "The dragons that you freed," before the ellipsis. And then on the next page he says, "are dancing in the skies of Ishgar." Let's not skip through that panel lightly. What I want to discuss here is the dragons that you've freed, eh? The human characters get excited and speak about, oh, it's a miracle, that sort of stuff. And those closing remarks that are always at the end of a manga chapter, they say, in this one they say, "Miracles are never a coincidence." It seems to me the dragons have been freed alongside the activation of Face. The dragons start taking out the face bombs, which is a good thing too, considering Blue Pegasus Magic Bomber Christina was never actually able to get the job done in that respect. There's a lot of progression in this chapter, to be honest. I mean, you've got Margir defeated, Face has been activated, the return of the dragons, and I just got to say that, for all the discredit that Fairy Tail gets, It's been delivering abundantly in terms of mystery and intrigue and that field of things recently. I mean, the stuff to do with E.N.D and the return of the dragons and the termination of all magic, it's all very interesting. To be honest, we're getting a lot of hints dropped our way at the moment, but I still can't quite figure out what is going on with the dragons at the moment. I mean, how did E.N.D return first? If you remember, he was always inside of Natsu, as he claims. So he came out of Natsu, whereas when Wendy and Gajeel sensed their dragons, they actually weren't, coming out of them. They sensed them from further away in Ishgar. It seems to me this idea of the dragons being freed implies that they were restricted for a time. So I'm wondering, is the presence of magic subsequently a barrier for the presence of the dragons? As in, is it because Fate has been activated and the magic is now going away that the dragons can finally be freed and return? Which makes you wonder, can dragons and magic coexist? I don't really know. Also in those closing lines we read that the hearts of men and dragons have resonated with each other, which could be some of that, just flowery, eloquent nothingness that Mishima kind of drops into the story sometimes. Or instead, it could reveal something to do with the notion of a balance and coexistence. Overall, this was a really good chapter, and it's piqued my interest to see how things are going to develop. I also want to briefly give an update on a manga I reviewed recently called Yoakemono, which was in Shonen Jump. I don't blame you if you haven't seen the video where I reviewed it, no one really has. But basically, Yoakemono has been cancelled. I was actually ignorant to this fact at the time I was reviewing it, so that's a bit of a disappointment. I said there were 16 chapters out, so chapter 16 in Japan is where Yoakemono has been cut off. If the chapters continue to get translated, I will still be reading them. I don't know about reviewing just yet, unless if you want to see me review Yoakemono. But yeah, sorry about that. It's just a bit of a shame when these kind of interesting new series get cancelled prematurely. Aside from that, I'm definitely feeling this fairy tale hype at the moment. Thank you for watching. If you could please like or comment or subscribe, that would, encourage me. And this is Unity Reviews. I'm Duncan. Thank you for watching.